Ladies and gentlemen, come one, come all. We are back, baby, with World Online Racing here in the F1 scene. And I tell you what, it should be a banger. It should be a lineup, and it should be everything that everyone expects from it. We start here in Australia, the land down under, and the start of the 2025 race season in both real world and in the esports variant. I am joined by Luxy. How are you doing, and how pumped are you for this season?
I'm doing amazing, and to be really honest, season 21, I'm absolutely buzzing. I mean, these drivers gonna have to really compete, gonna have to show us what they can do. Obviously, round one, like mentioned, Australia, really tricky circuit, and these drivers are gonna have to really show off their skill, especially with this game's increase in the tire wear, deg, and also the dirtier. So yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely an overhaul. You know, we've already had other leagues get themselves going a little bit earlier than WOR, but hey, save the best to last. Why don't we? And we're definitely seeing that this tire wear has caused a lot of problems. We're seeing teams come, I say teams, drivers come out with very unique strategies to combat this problem. In particular, ones that are, you know, over predicting rain, as well, as that has been a huge effect when the rain starts to come. And I don't know if it's been fully patched, but the invisible rain, hopefully that has disappeared. But the chance of rain in Australia is it's a little low.
Yeah. I mean, probably gonna be one of the hottest tracks that we have. I mean, it's down under. It's in Melbourne, and I mean, that just means the tires are gonna really overheat. I won't be surprised if we see drivers, you know, dip out of the slipstream to cool down those tires, going onto the turn 9, 10 chicane, going into turn 1. Really, I expect that. I mean, I think we're going to also see a lot of fighting for DRS straights on this track. And being in the lead is going to be absolutely vital. And I won't be surprised if we see a 1-2 stopper. You know, mix of strategies, like I said, is going to be immense, especially around this track, because it's so demanding on the car and also on the driver.
Yeah, it's definitely not an easy track indeed. And of course, you know, cast our mind back not too long ago, the redevelopment of this track, adjusting turn 11, adjusting turn 3, removing a major part of the pre-chicane before turn 9 and changing it into this lovely flowing section between 7, 8, and 9 is really cranked up the speed. And I think a lot nowadays we're all agreeing it's working for sure, because if Oscar Piastri can send it round the outside into turn 9, Lord only knows what these esports drivers can send around, because, well, there's definitely room into turn 9. It's whether they want to take that risk with 4 DRS zones as well. Overtaking is very optimal, shall we say.
Yeah, I mean, also going on to those final few laps, I mean, being second, being third man in the train can be, you know, a win for you, especially if you're in that second man. That's where you want to be. We're going to see a lot of argy-bargy, a lot of elbows out near those final few laps. be second man, be the one that can really manipulate the DRS, especially going into that turn 11, being a sharp 90-degree corner. Really going to see a lot of overtakes through there. Because, I mean, if you're ahead, you're probably going to win the race coming to the final lap, as, the final few 3 corners in Sector 3, really tight, really hard to try and get a move done. So, I mean, second man, really going to be vital going into those final few laps.
Yeah, and let's talk a bit about the drivers. I'm looking at these names here, and it's all new. Let's be real. No name stands out as a long-term hero that's been around for ages. I think the only one that stands out to me is Ryan Jacobs, who, for me, rings a bell in the back of my head, not necessarily of being a front-end driver, but definitely a mid-pack mayhem style of driver. So whether this upgrade into tier 4, or I don't know if it is considered upgrade. I don't know where he started. I just know that name from somewhere. That's one that I'm looking out for. But there's a lot of fresh names here. We got 4 reserves kicking into play here as well. I have to ask, Luxy, is any of these names standing out to you?
One of them actually really is. Scott Holmes in the Kick Sauber. He's won 3 times in WOR. I believe he's a season, if I'm not mistaken, he's a season 18, 14, and 13 champion. So I mean, he's probably gonna be one to look out for. I've seen him in other leagues, and he's absolutely rapid. He's near the front end, and he's a really confident driver. So I would say keep out eyes for him. Overall though, I think there's only one other person that's won a previous championship within WOR. So a lot of fresh faces, a lot of people that maybe trying to get their name in that spotlight. So I would say we're going to see some good racing, especially in these first few rounds, because they're probably going to be the most important to kind of settle you into that season.
Talking about settling in, let's talk lap times that we should be expecting for qualifying, because that is the premise of today. When you go on time trial, the world record is held at 15:1, but we were just we were just discussing not too long ago that realistically the time trial lap times are nowhere near as accurate to the in-game time, where we're starting to see times potentially from the drivers claiming 14:1s, and a whole second difference between the time trial and the in-game racing.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think what Codemasters have done, they've kind of changed how the ERS and stuff works within time trial. I think it used to always be hot laps always enabled. So, I mean, learning in time trial was never sort of ideal. And, maximizing that ERS in short quality is always going to be faster. So I was quite surprised to see, as someone that's, quite in the sim racing world themselves, driver as well. I would say it was, bit confusing why you're a little bit faster in the qualifying when you're not always in the hot lap mode. As I believe in this game, you don't want to touch the hot lap mode in qualifying. I actually believe medium and overtake is just the way to go. Because I don't think you actually get much advantage with the hot lap within this game. When you look on YouTube, you see all the hot lap videos. None of them really maximize the hot lap, where they're using loads in the medium, overtake on the corner exit, medium within the corner to recharge that battery. So I think that's sort of why short quality is a little bit faster, because of the, lack of performance in hot lap. So that's probably why we'll see a lot more fast times within the quali session than in time trial.
Well, if that is the case, then I'm looking forward to it. I'm pumped for it to come and get started. But we're still experiencing a little bit of lobby issues, and we're trying to get them all resolved for you guys. But in the meantime, instead of us yapping for a good 20, 30 minutes, we're going to hop onto a very short break while we try and resolve these lobby problems, and so we can get you straight into the action.
Yeah. All right, guys, we are in the lobby. We are obviously going to wait for the drivers to get out on track. And Hyper, I mean, do you sort of maybe? I would ask you sort of, predictions, but I mean, it's round one of a new season. Some familiar faces. We can't really get the predictions in. I mean, I recognize some names in it. Obviously like Scott. There's a few others. And I think we're gonna have a really, really nice qualifying ahead of us today.
Yeah, I'm always the one who would usually pose the question to everyone else, like who's gonna be blah 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 blah. But it is difficult when you don't when we don't know the drivers, and I think that brings that level of uncertainty for all of us. It's gonna be very interesting to see. So yeah, let's see what happens. Let's see who is gonna be the ones to come out on top here. And I'm liking this. 16 drivers in this lobby. It's looking pretty cloudy. So there is a high chance here that a lot of drivers will want to put in a fast lap now on their first run before, well, their best lap before the rain comes down. Because I feel this could be a factor looking at the weather.
Yeah. I mean, looking in the lobby right now, very, very cloudy. Do maybe see some rain clouds. And rather than describing, let's actually show you what we mean here. As, I mean, you as the viewers, you can decide will there be rain or not.
Yeah, it's I'm gonna go on the side of possibly rain. Like I'm looking at the chat, I'm looking at the driver's log. No one's mentioning anything about rain, so let's assume it's not. Let's hope we get some 3 good flying laps that are gonna come in and keep us entertained.
Yeah, I mean, to be really honest, I would not mind us a little bit of a spicy quality. If it does rain, then drivers going to rush it out. We may see, a little bit of holding up in that sector 3. But you can see Scott come around the final corner to be the first one to set a lap here. And do you want me to take away with the commentary over this hot lap, or do you want to do a little bit more talking here?
Yeah, let's go a hot lap, man. You've
right.
already taken those first 2.
All right, so Scott coming down towards turn 3, probably revving out that 7th gear here, braking just at that 100-meter board, caressing the inside curb there. Slightly missed, but it's okay. It's hot lap. Tyres track still maybe a little bit colder than it normally is through turn 6. Easy flat. Using maybe a little bit of the overtake as you make your way down towards probably one of the hardest corners here, as you don't want to cut too much on the inside. As you get grass on those tires, it's going to make you come out wide, take too much of that outside curb, making our way down towards the fast chicane, hitting the second DRS straight the third, of the track. Purple middle sector there for Scott. I mean, obviously purple for him, as he is the first one to set a lap here. Now, down towards probably my favourite overtaking corner, turn 11. Just really hard, 90-degree right-hand corner. Make sure you don't hit that red Pete's curb on the inside. Now, through the second to final corner, make sure you don't come too close to the outside, as you really need to set up for the final corner. Now, down towards the line, what will Scott be able to do as his first lap here? It's a 15.025. Not too shabby there.
Not too shabby. We've talks of people doing 14.1, so a lot of room and a lot of opportunity to improve. Michael able to put himself at 15.2, so a little slower, but we're seeing a few drivers invalidate as well, of going a little bit wide and ruining what would have been a good lap for themselves. Lennart only finds 3rd as a 15.3 comes into play, and I feel this 14.1 seems a little far reached. I have to question the logistics of this fact I had.
I mean, you can't really take it off the first lap here. I mean, you got Kevin there saying there's 16.0. Sam setting the P5 time of a 15.5. And also, Nick shoots up to P2 there. That's lovely from the AMG driver here. Not far off of Scott. I've actually commentated a race between Scott and Nick, and those guys, they were rapid. They were, on each other's level, and I think we may see a lot in the race between the two. I mean, obviously we've got to see with the other drivers here, but it will be a really, really amazing qualifying here.
Well, let's keep our fingers crossed for something as interesting as that. As Lewis Walker looks to the line, that's in the 16s, and the spread between 1st and 10th right now, over a second difference, which will really factor in on the race, as that pace is nowhere to be seen. JW slots himself in the middle of the 15.5s, and it does break your heart to see such a large spread early on. But this, you have to remember everybody, this is tier 4. So these drivers aren't as finely tuned. They're not going to be consistent throughout the entirety of the race. So we have to give them that benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, I mean, here, Ryan Jacobs invalidating his first lap. That's never really the ideal plan. As Harrison, purple provisional middle sector there. Now, this game does sometimes tell tattletales, and it does throw out some random purple sectors, but we're just going to have to find out if that purple sector wasn't a fluke, as Harrison, through the final 3 corners of Sector 3, absolutely maximizing the track here. As you saw, X of turn 11 using all of the curb, almost actually invalidating his lap time. Now, the question I have for you, Hyper, is do you think these drivers are going to be absolutely confident enough to take the final corner flat out, as Harrison shoots himself up to P2? Not far off of Scott there. That's quite tasty indeed, and I like that lap time. That's not far between the top 4 here.
If you want my honest answer to your question about flat through the final, like, no. Like, if I was sitting here watching Jarno Opmeer, if I was watching Thomas Ronhar, Lucas Blakely, watching the pros go around, then 100% I would expect them to do it. I feel that the setups on these cars are either taken from the time trials and taken, or potentially even the leaked ones, because there has been a case of leaking of pro teams' setups, but they're not finely tuned to it. That's scenario 1. Or scenario 2, their setup is set for their driving style, and it's right now not going to allow them at opportunities. We listen. There was a little hesitation within the accelerator as Red Mears does start his lap, but it's one of those. At this level, the answer in my eyes is no, but someone could. And that person who is able to go flat into the corner and through to the exit will 100% be able to create that gap. But it's that risk and reward. How much are you willing to extend and put the car onto the grass and potentially the wall to just gain that little tenth or two?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of, like teams like TTM, FVR here, EVR. So I would say a lot of these drivers have those team setups, which, in my opinion, are absolutely amazing in this F1 game. And I would say maybe a little bit of a slight tweak here. We may see, wing adjustments, that differential as well, as some drivers prefer a lower off diff, some prefer a higher off diff, so there's going to be that sort of difference of driving style as Red Mears rounds the penultimate corner now, the final corner. Maybe a little bit of hesitation. That's towards the line. Red Mears will come, and it's only going to be P10. Obviously, their first lap here in qualifying. So, I mean, just get a banker on the table. But I think Sinner here invalidate both of their laps so far, which is never ideal. But yeah, I would say a lot of these drivers have the setup that could take the, it's just, like you said, risk it for a biscuit, basically. How well can these drivers try and, maximize the amount of track through the final corner? As, I mean, it can be done flat. I've done it personally. I've seen it being done. But it's, oh my, Scott with a 14.7, though. That caught me off guard.
Well, there you go. That's the guy who went flat.
Yeah, there you go there, guys.
There you go. He is the one who has taken the risk, or she, we can't assume it nowadays, the driver here, who have been able to put their foot down and get things sorted, as we see how Lenert flew through those first 2 turns.
Yeah, absolutely
really
rapid.
Pushing the car to the edge. I've noticed a few drivers, some of them, particularly Red Mertz, I was going to point out, the shaking that is coming from the car, the overdriving that some of these drivers are performing here is going to hinder them. So it's all well and good being aggressive, being fast. But if you start to overdrive this car, you end up losing traction, you're losing grip, you're starting to counter steer to correct for those mistakes. And from there, the lap times don't improve. And then in turn, it gets frustrated. So you have to come in with a very, very clear mindset. And, we've been flicking around a lot of these cameras. Well, I say you
Yeah.
have. And a big shout out to Luxy for, making the production here. And a lot of these drivers are invalidating on their second run.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's Australia. It's quite easy to do, especially through turn 1 and 2, as the optimal line is really aggressively cut turn 1, as you can sort of see Michael there kind of do it. But the problem with that is that blue bit is actually grass. So hitting it too wrong can actually send you deep into turn 2, which then ultimately means you get that off-track warning and it invalidates your lap. And I think that's what we're sort of seeing here. It's also the same as this upcoming chicane. You take too much of that curb, you go over it. You take the grass and the tires, and it just really affects that car balance. As there we go, invalidation through the corner I was exactly talking about. It's so easy to do. These drivers are pushing as Nick now goes provisional pole with a 14.764. Absolutely flying in that Mercedes AMG car. I bet he'll be absolutely buzzing with that lap, as I think we may see maybe a few more 14s. But I think these sort of lap times may be sort of good correlation with maybe like the perfect lap for these guys. As I think I saw a few of these guys say that 14.8, 14.9 is sort of their PB. So, always aim for the PB, I say.
Well, I think the best we're going to see in Tier 4, I would realistically believe, is a 14... I'm going to be generous. I think we're just going to go into the 15.9s. I feel there is a driver that can find that extra 10th amongst it all and just knock, 10th and a half.
Yeah.
I feel that is a possibility in this lobby. But looking further back, there is a lot of room for improvement. You look from P7 onwards. Go to P7 to P13. Major improvements can come in, but at the same time, you look at 14th to 17th, drivers have been unable to set lap times. And at this point in time, I want to be going out, setting just a simple anchor lap, so then you can guarantee you're not at dead last at this point.
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about massive improvements. We saw Harrison there improve upwards of almost 2 tenths, being the third driver to be able to get a sub 15. We're on board with the of the V carb with Ryan. Ooh, was that just me, or did that rear end seem a little bit slidey going through that corner there?
Possibly some net coding, meaning it looks like it slides, but it has. It's going to lose them a lot of time, and well, it is an improvement, but I think it wasn't net coding. I think that was an overdriving or too much throttle kicking the rear end out. And trust me, as somebody who knows how to kick that rear end out and spin like a pro, it's very easy to do.
As Herman hit actual purple sector 1. Now, I think that may be a real one. As we're starting to get these lap times come in, the game sort of kind of kicks in and be like, actually, you've got the faster sector 1 here. Will it be a purple sector 2, though? It won't be. I don't know how good Herman's going to be on his first lap here, as I saw a few drivers sort of come in like midway through quali, which is perfectly fine. So I think Herman is one of those drivers that actually joined midway through the quali session. So this is actually their first lap here. Now, round towards the final 2 corners there again. A little bit of the rear end sort of sliding. Now that could just be, pitting here. Maybe a little bit of a mistake in that sector 2.
Wouldn't have made it. 14, 15, would have been way down the line.
Yeah.
And again, Herman's overdriving that car in the final sector. He's got a nice flowing first, second sector for the bits we've been watching. But that final sector, he's pushing the car too hard. He's pushing on the accelerator a little bit too early. And we are seeing those tires just not engage in the correct way. And in doing so, he's losing valuable time. So if Herman's listening to this, and I sometimes do believe that some of these drivers do listen to the commentary, you need to be more smoother. You need to keep your cool, take a sip of the OJ or whatever drink you have next to you, deep breath, and go again for the last time.
Yeah. Now, I think I may be mistaken here. With F124, I mean, if you played the game, it was sort of not the best when it comes to realism. You know, flicking the wheel, just turn the car instantly. It's sort of the same on 25, as EA have sort of made it sort of like a 23, 24 into one, and you've got 25 here. So it's a little bit more planted, but you can still sort of flick the wheel, and it does sort of help the car. It does mean a lot more tyre deg, but I mean, in qualifying, your tyres don't matter. So I think this is what the drivers are sort of trying to do. You know, flick the wheel in, get the car rotated, and then sort of be smooth. I think maybe a few drivers getting a little bit too happy on the throttle. Maybe that could be causing the back end to sort of slip and slide. But not bad of a first sector here from Sin, as we'll just have to see what's that sector one. Look at that provisional fastest sector one there. So not too shabby. Now I do believe that's their actual one, as we've seen them invalidate a lap. So they may have a delta. So that may actually be a correct sector 1. What would the sector 2 be? Not too shabby. 43-1, I mean. I think we saw Scott on his first lap do a 43.0. And that was obviously a 15 flat. So, will the Haas driver be able to maybe set a lap time comparable? Just going to have to really find out. As round the final 2 corners.
Got to keep it steady. Don't overdrive this car on the exit now. You've put it so smoothly. Runs down to the line. This is looking very competitive. This is looking very good. This is a 49. From the last 3 attempts, he has not been able to put that car on a lap time, but finally makes it happen.
Indeed. I mean, what a lap time that is as well. One of 4 drivers to set a sub 15, as Wilson Hall actually improving here. He's not far off getting that sub 15 here, so I wonder if Wilson actually may have, you know, the chance to also join the top 4 here to get that glorious 14 something. As a little bit down in that sector 2 split. It's fine. Maybe they had a perfect sector 2 on their you know, their first bank lap. But what can they set through the sector 3, which is probably the most technical sector of this track? I mean, a mixture of slow speed, high speed, as the driver there almost getting in the way there. Luckily, Wilson Hall was able to evade. Now, round the final corner towards the line. Use all the battery. What will the lap time be? Will they be in the sub 14s? No. They do slightly improve. Not a position gain, though. But that lap time could, you know, could be fortunate, as our drivers behind may be actually improving.
Well, that's the big question, and the big what if in this situation, as the drivers are slowly crossing the line. Haas is completed from Sienna, and now we're seeing the Williams invalidated. No improvement from his end. Has to cross the line, stay P6, but that's running the risk indeed. Scott Holmes says, you know what? I'm cool with that. I'm cool with second place. I don't think anyone's going to be beating it. Same with Lennart. Unable to improve on his side of the time. The Ferrari crossed the line. Not able to improve on his end. It is only P12 for Kevin. What about Red Mertz? We saw that here was a bit of aggression from his side. Only was able to put in a 59, potentially a banker lap that came in as Nick's Arrow jumps to the top. The other Mercedes powertrain, the Mercedes home team, does able to go for a 14.5. And I did say generosity, 14.5s are possible, but Ryan invalidates his lap on the final section. And that is going to be the grid.
Really, really insane that, as we saw Redmers actually was improving. So, tried to push a bit too hard through that flat corner, and it cost him dearly, as down to P15 he will remain, as he was obviously invalidated that lap time. Nick on the top step of qualifying, joined by Scott, who will join him on the front row there. On the second row, it's Harrison and Amos. And on the third row, it's going to be Sin and Sam Arling. Fourth row, it's going to be... I don't think I'm going to be able to pronounce that. Guy and Luca. I may be mistaken. Could you correct me there?
Gina Luca.
Gene. Okay, that's going to be tricky for me. I'm not good at pronouncing names. As Lennon also joins him on that 4th row.
If our beloved Italian would love to correct us, please do. You know, we're essentially just British.
Yeah. The only thing I can say in Italian is arrivederci, which is goodbye. That's the only thing I can say. After doing about 7 days on Duolingo, believe it or not, I still can't pronounce nothing. That's my kryptonite as a commentator. Is always getting the names wrong. Even if it's someone's real name, I still get it wrong. I don't know how. I'm just, you know, a bit special like that, I guess. But quite interesting qualifying. A quite large gap between first and last on the grid who set a lap time, because I believe there was 1 or 2 drivers that didn't actually set a lap time. Quite big, you know, sort of spread with the times. Do you think that'll sort of affect them within going into towards the race with sort of the pace difference?
Pace difference, absolutely. I always find that qualifying is a great statement to how people drive, what their pace is like. Because even if you put essentially a race pace in, you can really push the car on low fuel loads with fresh, soft tires. Naturally, that is kind of the general outlook that we're seeing. Of course, naturally, the close margins between the first, probably the 15 zeros that we saw, they will tussle amongst each other quite well. But the drivers that have put themselves a 14.6 and a 14.5, 14.7 and 14.5, we will most likely see them pull away as a gap. We will most likely see a DRS train break form. So that's the thing we have to keep an eye on the most. But going forward, the main talk is, do we start on hards or do we start on mediums?
Well, I actually wanted to get onto this point. So, for personal experience, I personally actually find the hards are actually nicer to drive for me. Obviously, driver, you know, preference and stuff. I find the mediums, they wear so quick. I will probably be not surprised if we see drivers boxing around lap 10 with tyres out upwards of 70% on the deck, as that's just how like powerful tyre deck is on this game. So the hard's probably the best starting tyre, or you can kind of go mediums, go hard, and you never know, go for another set of mediums, as I you know, very likely we see 1, 2, maybe even half the grid here do that 2-stop strategy. Now, will it work out for them? You know, you never know. Could be a safety car that could really affect this. I mean, I saw a league race about a week ago, and someone won the race because of a safety car. They were going for a 1-stop and it saved them. So, I mean, if there is a safety car in this race and you're going for that 1-stop and it's like midway through the race, you're going to be set. So, I would say it's going to be driver preference, but I will probably say we see a lot on the mediums. We've got the lights on. Engines are roaring, and we are green for the first time in Season 21 Tier 4. It's a good start from Nick, as making our way down towards Turn 1. Few moves there. A lot of ghosting, though. As I don't know what's actually happened there. Happens a lot. Nick's been able to get away quite nicely. Scott in behind. We're going to maybe see a few moves as the Sam Arling going for an outrageous sent down the inside of the Haas and the Williams, making it 3 abreast into turn 3. That was a quite interesting turn 3, as you can also see Scooter with Ferrari in the background, going a little bit wide. Probably the dirty air really affecting them, as in the first few laps, we're going to see a lot of, you know, probably warnings handing out and, you know, a lot of carnage, I would say, with this dirty air. Williams there, a little bit laggy. Let's look towards the upper hand of this grid. Nick getting a beautiful start and will lead the way. I think we're also kind of seeing a top 3 gap starting form. As you can see, 0.7 separates P3 and P4.
Yeah, we already said off the get-go that the top 3 who did make it into those 14s will have a more advantageous pace, and off the get-go, they've kept it clean amongst themselves. They know that in these early stages, squabbling too hard against your opponent is gonna massively be a disadvantage towards them. So Kudos for keeping it clean, but, you know, oh, that's a tricky rear end from Ryan Jacobs as opens up and gives that Red Bull a little bit of a sniff. Not enough to go for an overtake, but I want to bring our attention to Sam Arling. What a move, what a tussle he had with the Williams. I thought he was gaining a lot, but actually, it was the Williams of Ginalika. We're going to get his name one day.
We'll get it right one day.
Yeah, Gina, we're going to just use that for now. It massively putting that Alpine out wide, out into positions that shouldn't be where a car should sit, and making it work. And talking of making it work, how about this Aston Martin?
Yeah, I mean, trying to go side by side through probably one of the trickiest corners to get an overtake on. Turn 9 and 10. Will he be able to get the move done? I believe JW just slots in behind as going side by side through that chicane is, let's just say, deadly. As you can see on the screen, possible strategies. As I said, double stop there. Hard, medium. I would say probably hard, medium is going to be better. As let's look towards P10 here. As Michael getting a move on Sam Arling down the inside. Side by side, actually. Oh, I've gone to the wrong people. Quite a bit of tussle here outside the top 10 as fast slap. Oh my lord! Herman's gone tumbling around the final corner. Did he get tapped, or was it just a loss of traction? That was, you could just see it down below. That's not ideal for the Oracle Red Bull Racing driver. Race is not over though. We still got 26 laps to go. Could be a safety car. Keep your head down. Don't want to leave it too late and realize it was a safety car. And you could have had a comeback. Really confused with what happened there. Did you get a glimpse of what happened, Hyper?
I got a small glimpse. I don't think it was necessarily a tap that pushed him round. But Herman, he's going to be pissed. He's going to be annoyed. And in this situation, you pray to the gods that a safety car is going to come out. And talking of coming out, how about this Aston Martin? I think this Aston Martin and the V-Carbs have been ferocious. The battle of the rear is always intense, and slowly but surely, they are creeping their way up the grid.
As what's happened here to Sin? Has he... What's actually happened? He's dropped massively. Was there... Oh, as you can see, Sam Arling opted to go for a move. Little bit of contact there. Nothing too race ending. Just elbows out, I would say. But question is did the Haas maybe get sent into the gravel trap of turn 11? It's quite easy to do. You know, underestimating the brakes. You know, maybe locking up the front end. Just keep the head down. Make your way forward as Lewis Walker first to get that 3-second time penalty. Won't be surprised if we see a lot more there as Redmere is getting the elbows out massively side by side with Ryan as we go through turn 4. Ooh, was that a little bit of a push off the track there? As now we see the JW trying to get involved. Also Kevin. This is absolutely insane fighting between you know, these 5 drivers here. As you can also see rear end plate. I believe that's a Ferrari of, yep, it is Kevin's rear end plate. Oh, rear end plate, I mean front end plate. Left side, it's gone completely, I think. No, right side, I mean.
Doesn't matter. These guys are going to squabble all the way to the bittersweet end as they were trying to make a move two through 9 and 10. Both the Ferraris definitely not working together, and no surprise at this level, they won't want to team up as through the outside, Kevin is trying to look for gaps, and this is not even for points, ladies and gents. We are so fixated on a very tumbling battle that at the front, Harrison, 0.1 of a second behind, really got a great opportunity, a good lunge if he wants to make the move into turn 1. No, plays it smart. Wants to wait into turn number 3 to try and make his move. But it also comes back to the question, do you want to make this move? And the reality to that is no. We're already past the chaotic stage. Now we have to calm down.
Yeah, drivers definitely got to start to settle in now. First few laps of any race, it's going to be spicy, it's going to be action-packed, as we obviously saw. We saw Herman tumbling around on lap 3, going on to lap 4. Lewis Walker just retiring from the race after that collision in that turn 6 chicane. So now is the time to start to settle down, start to sort of cool down those tyres. And as, you know, that's sort of what the game's all about now. You know, be in that train, you know, save the tyres, especially if going for that one-stop strategy, 24 laps to go. And we're seeing the mediums are sort of dominating the grid here, with the only man on hards is Kevin down into P15.
I would not be surprised if we see Harrison make a move soon, because Scott is going slower than Nick Aaron. And in my eyes, I would want to get past Scott here because he is holding up. He is running the risk on multiple occasions to allow Nick to get away and to break that 1 second. So as much as, you know, a lot of commentators will sit here, a lot of coaches will say P3 is one of the greatest positions to be in because if P2 makes a mistake, you can capitalize. In this scenario, Scott is holding up. He is slow through the slow winding corners. I'd make a move into turn 11 and just send it.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. As well as being P2, you've got to make sure you're keeping up with P1. If you lose P1, that's basically everyone behind you and your race is over of getting that win. DRS around Australia is absolutely vital. With there being 4 sections, you know, you dip out once, you're not really going to catch up again because the people in front of you, they're going to zip away. Especially on the coming out of the turn 6 chicane, going into turn 9, with that being a double detection zone, making sure you're within that 1 second range is going to be absolutely vital. And with Harrison being in that P3 spot, if he can get a run out of the turn 6 chicane, he should have a move going into turn 11.
A little bit of net coding problems from the kick Sauber. I think that's why there may be some hesitation towards Harrison, but if you're going to commit, you full on do it. As we're seeing a few more penalties start to rise. Speeding in the pit lane 9 times out of 10 means they're about to retire. Yeah, Red Mears has retired from the race as well. So 2 drivers out, meaning there's only 15 drivers left in this race. And I'll tell you what, it's calming down. It's getting to a position of stability. No one's going too hectic. And I have to ask, who has surprised you the most in this early phase of the race?
To be really honest, I would say Harrison. I mean, the fact that he's able to really hold, I mean, you've got someone who's got a lot of experience right in front of you, keeping it calm and composed. Harrison is doing absolutely amazing. Obviously, Scott, like I mentioned near the start of the stream, he's won this series 3 times in respected tiers. I believe he's, I may be mistaken, I think he's won in a higher tier. I haven't fully dived in enough, but all I know is that he's won 3 times. So, you know, knowing that, being behind that sort of person, if I was in Harrison's position, I would be kind of nervous. I'll be stressed. And obviously all of that really comes down to, well, being stressed means you're going to drive worse. But Harrison really coping amazingly here and driving absolutely amazing. As you can see, more penalties coming out. And also, good to mention, Sin is got a nice little gap to Ryan in behind. So the top 11, all within DRS with each other, all maybe have a contention of winning. If you're out of that top 11, it looks to be 0, with obviously Ryan having that 2.5 second gap towards Sin up ahead. Now, my question for you, Hyper, is what do you think? Do we think team strategies? Obviously, there's a few people that are right next to the team here. Look at the McLarens, look at the Williams. Will we see maybe a little bit of team play here?
Well, also looking at the gamer tags as well, we're seeing TF10, we're seeing TRT as well. There's gonna be a almost obligation between these drivers to work together to make sure that they are helping one another. However, it's race 1. There's, you know, 9 out of 10, these type of drivers will have an engineer who's going to help them, who's going to feed them information. At this point, I would like to hope the engineer isn't prioritizing anybody, that they are going to let these drivers fight, particularly towards the end. But right now, I agree. It's working together, trying to manage their ERS, find a mistake from the RB car that's ahead of them to be able to capitalize and work together to get both drivers a promotion. So That's what I am expecting. The Williams, on the other hand, if you look further ahead at 4th and 5th, they're struggling. The driver Amos is losing out. He's 0.8 of a second. He's slowly losing lap by lap against Harrison. So in my eyes here, this is where I possibly may call for a tactical switch. But again, this is all assuming an engineer is in the chat. If not, well, Mios, keep doing what you're doing and hold up your teammate.
Yeah, I mean, also, lap 9, these mediums will be cooking. As a 3-second penalty to Kevin. I think that's his second one. No, it is his first one. But I would say maybe this sort of little pace difference is because the tides are starting to come. Well, I mean, we're definitely past the first degradation phase of 25%. As you can already see, yep, Amos into the pits he will come. Probably to put on either fresh hards or fresh mediums. Both really good tyres. We may see, maybe hards go for 19 laps on the hards. I don't know if they will last that long yet. There you go. Hard tyres have been placed onto Alatzian Williams. Now, do we think every driver will do this, or maybe double stop for some others? As you can see, Guyan, Amos's teammate, still able to keep with the train here. On the cusp of getting knocked out, though. So he's really got to find that 9th gear, put it into nitrous, and really catch the people in front. As, I mean, top 3 looking absolutely rapid. As Scott Holmes, wait a minute, when did he take the lead here?
I think it was just into turn 3. We were so focused on the pit stops and talking about it that we didn't even see it at all. And hats off to him for finding a gap. But this is the crucial time where you need to. I call it phase 2 of this race, where we start to see drivers go and push into the attacking mode, as we are seeing a very slow VCARB driver. Does he drop down? That's Lennart.
I think
Lennart dropped down the field. But yeah, this is critical moment right now. This is where you want to be attacking to gain track position, as Harrison will respond. Gina will also respond into the pits. Basically, everybody from third downwards is starting to pit.
Yeah. Going back to what happened to Leonard, I think he just maybe got too much onto the outside curb of turn 9s and 10. Easy to do, easy to lose the back end there. Probably slipped and found himself towards the grass. Really easy to do, especially when your tyres are near that sort of puncture zone of 70-80%, which I believe some of these drivers are actually going on. Now, Scott and Nick, both staying out here, could, you know, really cost them dearly, as the undercut on this game, as any F1 game, really, has been absolutely substantially large. Now, it depends. Will Nick and Scott work together? As I think that they will, actually, as Nick goes nicely in towards the lead, as we make our way through turns 9s and 10. Well, Lennon actually lost the car last lap. Now, will these guys box? They'll probably go onto the hards. Let's just quickly look at what people have done. Top 4 haven't boxed, with obviously first and second leading the way by a massive margin. Now, so I think you may have not noticed, I definitely did, the gaps during the pit stop phase. You know, you had, you know, Wilson Hall and stuff. They were like 1.7 down as...
I think Scott actually crossed the white line there, and thankfully, I will say, thankfully, we did not catch that on stream, because I know the rule book all too well. You can't cut across the pit entry line in that way. And, well, this is the critical moment. Has Scott and Nick got ahead, got themselves and kept themselves ahead of Harrison, as Harrison tumbles down towards that first turn? He can't get it done, but those fresher tires will say thank you very much, as he will make it past. Thank you, Harrison, sitting in third before the stops. Finds himself in first, and a lot of fresh air to look after his tires.
Yeah, most definitely. Also, keep your eye out, guys, for Amos here. He's got 2 lap older hards than anyone else. Same with Ryan Jacobs, down in P9. But eyes on Amos. He's going to probably want to help his teammate get through that pack. You know, his tyres are probably going to be a bit faster, as he's used them a little bit more. Also, Scott coming out P7. Not ideal. The man that was running P2 for a majority of this start of the race, down to P7. He's got a lot to work on now, as we've got 17 laps left to go. He's definitely got to try and find a way to get past, you know, the Williams and maybe even Nick to get himself near those first 2 steps of podium. I mean, P3 is really good, but I mean, I think Scott, he wants that golden trophy in the cabinet. So definitely want to try get past these Williams, get in front as well, because obviously Amos probably going to be the fastest one in the train so far. But his tyres will be the oldest as we come near the end, and that he'll start losing the pace the fastest. So his teammates also got to figure out, when do I overtake? Because if he stays out too long, stays too far behind Amos, he may actually lose time. Because, I mean, once those tyres gone, they're gone. You can't really drive them. And Harrison leading the way nice and steadily. So
that
maybe the uncut.
Sauber was making a move down into turn 3, just has to bail.
Yeah.
Scott, he is getting hungry. We're seeing how quick those Williams are. They're tooth and nail, backing each other, nearly shoving each other through the 3rd sector of this track. But I'm not going to be surprised if Scott wants another lunge, and he looks like he will go for another lunge on to the Williams. As he closes into the gap, will he go for that turn 9? He looks to the outside. Is he close enough? No, as the William closes the door onto the kick Sauber. And you have to be patient, Scott. You've got to find your right opportunity, because right now he's just taken that gamble, taken that risk, and now he's lost all that momentum and gap from it.
Yeah. Also, Nick almost on the cusp of losing that DRS to Harrison here. So either Nick's struggling on the new hards, or Harrison, he's popped it into nitrous. He's entered the flow state, you could say, as at 9.5 tenths. Almost a whole second separating P2 and 3, P1, 2 provisionally, as Kevin, he's probably going to be going long here, as he stayed out for yet another lap. Like you said, Scott getting hungry. He's provisional P5, definitely wants to get in front of these Williams, as he wants to reclaim that top 3 position he so rightfully had at the start of this race.
Harrison, we noticed him weaving on that start-finish straight, very much trying to force Nick to think twice, but that's a very wide position, and it's almost like he's teasing Nick right now, trying to force him to go for a bold move, and Nick is going to go for the bold move. He's side-by-side into turn 9. Oh, that's brave and bold. Oscar Piastri is reborn in the esports scene, and Nick Arrow finds the grip, and I don't know what Harrison was doing, but his rear light is flashing. He's used a lot of battery.
Most definitely. It's either he's used a lot of battery, or he's just popped it into none. Sector 3, best sector on this track to recharge. Not many long straights, or fast corners where you really need to, maximize the ERS usage. So Sector 3, pop it into none. It actually also preserves the tires, because with obviously the ERS using it increases power towards the car, toward the wheels. So having it in none helps the tires, especially through that the 3rd to final corner of turn 12. Really easy to lose it on the curb, so putting it into none can actually really help with traction. Now Nick leading the way. Also, Scott almost got knocked out of that DRS on that previous lap going into turn 11. So maybe he's just not really pushing as much, trying to maybe stay behind the Williams, and maybe try follow them through if they try and make a move on Harrison or Nick in the next coming few laps.
I'll tell you what, he's definitely got to stay close, because the Williams are also pushing harder as well. Gina, only 2 tenths behind his teammate. We've seen this time and time again. He loves to just, count how many pieces of pointy bits on that rear wing, and I'm sure he's got a number for us if I asked in the chat how many points the Williams have. But when it comes to also Amos behind Harrison, there's been times he's been close, but throughout it all, I would honestly say Gina has been the quicker driver, and I'm surprised that Gina hasn't gone for a little cheeky move on his teammate, hasn't gone for the opportunity to get past here. Yeah,
I mean, it is quite difficult being, behind someone that's also got the DRS, as it's really all just going to come down to who's got more battery. Who's got the better exit, who's got more battery, and I think that's sort of what Gina's lacking. Maybe using in the wrong points, or just isn't getting as good of an exit as, as Amos in front of him, as Amos has actually Lost the DRS. Will that flap open? No, it will not. So Gina's definitely going to have to look for a move here before turn 9. But also, things are about to get spicy. As Scott looking for a move as well. But that's not good. 1.4 seconds behind first and second as when Kevin boxes. It'll be very soon. There we go. Gina's gone for the move down the inside of turn 11. Amos would say, you know what? Go on, mate. Catch that guy's ahead as... you know, Nick's got the DRS. He's actually gone for a move as Kevin opts to box this lap. 16 up on the hard compound tire. He's going to go towards the end on those mediums. And to be really honest...
Scott's made a mistake. Scott's made a mistake.
Massive mistake.
The P9. So the aggression must have been fighting with Amos has forced him onto the gravel somewhere. Now he's having to get rid of all the grass and gunk and whatever is on those tires. And from sitting at the lead of the race at one point, he's now down the inside. Try to fight for P7. Has to stick it around the outside. No, you've got to cave in. And Scott is aggressive. Scott is angry. He knows he's just made such a critical mistake. And now he's stuck behind a Red Bull of Michael. I would be sad and kicking myself after that mistake.
I mean, yeah, you know, take a moment, take the main straight. That's when you want to be angry. But when it comes to the corners, Scott going around the outside of turn 9, gets the move beautifully done, and he'll say thank you very much. Move himself back into P7. Now, Scott, he's, you know, yes, he's made that mistake, dropped into P9, but, you know, you can't, you know, keep thinking of the past. It's all about present and future. Think about when you're making your next move. You can't be thinking of the past, because that's when you start making more mistakes. When you get angry, more mistakes. So Scott's got to keep it calm, composed, if he wants to make back up towards those top 3 positions, as, Guyan's actually gaining on P2 and P3 here. I mean, P1 and P2. That gap was 1.5 at the start of that. It's now lower than a second almost. So, you know, trading the Williams positions was so vital for the both of them to maybe have a chance at a podium here.
It very much could be the make and break. And look at that. Already into the second mark. He can start to breathe once again. Of course, the amount of ERS he would have had to use would have been phenomenal. The Italian driver showing us why Italy make fantastic cars, why they are one of the, essentially a pedigree of racing, as he has forced himself back into the chance of winning this race. And it is not out the question as Harrison getting a little push and shovey through turn 9 and 10. Is there an opportunity maybe into 11? Nah, not just yet. Just have a little taste, have a little tease, but he needs to start defending as well, because if this William keeps at this pace, he might go for P2. But before we kind of get into like proper action, like see, the one thing that is very apparent is the drivers who are being aggressive. So Scott Holmes, Gina, I don't know what his last name, but Gina, they have both been so aggressive on their tires. They won't have life in this latter stage of the race.
Most definitely. I mean, Scott kind of can get away with it. I mean, being one of the last few people to actually box as down the inside of Ryan Jacobs. He will go to turn 3. They'll stay side by side through turn 4. It's all about traction. A little bit wonky. Force on the outside curb. Not what you want to be. And Scott's going to have to try again in the next few corner. I wouldn't say that's going to be a penalty worthy to the McLaren. I would just say that's really, really hard racing. As that inside curve of turn 4, really tricky to, you know, try and, you know, maximize it. As it can actually bottom you out, as well as the outside curve. Really easy to lose the back end if you get too early on the power. And that's what we saw from Scott there. As Wilson Hall actually making a move on Amos here. Up to P4 he will go. Amos not having the DRS, whereas Wilson Hall does. As the top 3 absolutely flying away here. 1.2 over the next car behind them. And back to what we were saying about Scott, I would say he can kind of get away with it. Being, you know, on those fresher, you know, hard compound tires. But I would say Nick can also be aggressive. But, I mean, he's leading the way. He came really lucky on coming out in first, just about. Well, no, actually, he didn't. I'm wrong. He obviously, Harrison got the move, but then he re-overtook a lap later. That is my bad. But I think Scott, I've watched him. I've watched his onboard. I've tuned into his stream when he was doing league racing. As he's tried again on turn 3, not able to get it in the braking zone. Maybe try and set up for turn 9, maybe even turn 11, going future on into this lap. But Scott, I would say he's more of a sort of aggressive driving style. He likes to get a move done, and he even tried to sneak his nose up there in turn 3 of this current lap.
There's aggression, and then there is the politest way, stupidity. And it's getting to the fine point within Scott's aggression that it gets questionable as Harrison. Oh, he was eyeing up a good move, and so was this Williams as well. Right tooth and nail onto the Williams, but we focus on the front as the Aston Martin tries once again down the inside. Harrison has made a crucial mistake as he nearly lets the Williams through as the tension starts to build with the front 3, and soon they will find themselves onto that start-finish straight once again. And with Harrison's aggression, Nick now knows that this is the time to use his battery. This is the time to use the life of his tires.
Now, one thing to mention here is Amos, actually. He's dropped substantial amount of places. He's actually in the box. Oh my, maybe he was going for the double stop strategy. It could massively help him. 8 laps left to go, and he's opted to go onto the hard compound tire. Hards are really good when they're fresh. That's what I personally found. So maybe struggling in that first stage was like, you know what, guys, let's actually box and let's just full push towards the line. And like you're saying, aggression from Harrison there. Really bold move into turn 11. Almost getting it beautifully done. But I mean, Nick's defense there was absolutely sensational as well. Also, another thing, Scott's up to P6 as well. So making his way back up. I mean, a top 5 looking quite likely with Ryan Jacobs' penalty up in front. I mean, you can't be mad with a top 5 as well. I mean, top 5 in a tier 4 in one of the biggest leagues in the F1 game. I mean, that's really good in my opinion.
It's good, but when you were leading the race and net lead of the race as well, that's gonna kill him on the inside. He was there. He had the opportunity. His pit stop was just not the right point. Yes, he did gain a lot of fresher tires that now we can attack with, but inside it is killing him. And talking of killing them, how about this gap reclosing? Harrison, previous lap, made the gap pull to a second. He is now back in that context, ready to hunt. 0.4 behind that Mercedes. He starts to close in once again, gets closer, gets a little bit more closer, starts to look to go around the outside as he's looking for a turn 9 overtake once again. Does he have the speed? Does he have the pace? He has the DRS. Has to stick behind for now, but that's not too bad. Just play it smooth, play it right. But the Williams, it also has a similar idea, a similar mindset to maybe punch this right down into turn 11. Look to the inside, but the Williams makes it safe, decides not to go for it.
Could have been a sensational move if he was just that 1 minuscule meter a little bit closer. Maybe if he was a little bit side by side with Harrison, we would have seen an absolute outrageous send into turn 11. I mean, could have gone for a send there, but I think Guyan's gone, you know what, let's live to fight another day. 6 laps left to go. I think now is when we'll start to see a lot of moves being in the main. As you can see in the background, there's Scott in P5. He's making his way back up slowly and surely. We never know. If he's got the pace, he may be able to even catch the top 3. Guyan, though, really looking like he wants to be in that P2 spot, as that is the place to be in any train, as you can really, you know, go after the leader. But it's also, when do you make the move coming into the later stages, into the final few laps of this race? As obviously, you don't want to lead going into the sector 2, into sector 3, I mean. As if you're leading in sector 3 on the final lap, I would say it's a confirmed win.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Well, sector 3 in the final lap, yeah. But I was thinking the previous lap, then not necessarily. But even so, with the way these guys are being aggressive, I would not rule out anything. And right now, Harrison is just repeating the same move over and over again. He's making his mark. He's essentially doing that survival tactic. I don't know if you know how to defend yourself against a bear, right? You go and make yourself big, and then the bear supposedly runs away. That is exactly what Harrison is doing right now. He is essentially viewing Nick as a bear.
Yeah.
And he is that puny little human going, I'm really big, run away. And it's, you know, in a way, it is working. It is getting into Nick's head as we are starting to see him slightly move offline to try and defend. But the more he does it, the less he's going to believe it. And that is the lure that Harrison is trying to make here.
Yeah, also, really, in the bottom of the top 10 there, Kevin, on those medium compound tires, he's putting them to work, you could say. Catching the back end of the V-Carb or sugar-free Red Bull, depending on how you like to call them, Ryan in that P9 spot. They both have a penalty, but, I mean, if Kevin gets ahead, that's a nice little P9 spot. Also, Scott into that P4, and also, the gap at the start of the lap was a 2.9. It's now 2.2 seconds. With the top 3 being so close, into the heavy braking zones of turn 11, turn 1, turn 3, they're going to back each other up. This is going to allow Scott to go onto that and actually catch them.
Yellow.
And that's what he's
Full
doing.
course yellow.
Full course yellow.
It's Herman. Herman must have binned it into the wall. This is going to create a safety car situation. And now comes the real sweet mind game, because we are guaranteed at least 2 laps here. That's a guarantee. So, do you pit? Do you put on that fresh set of rubber and play risk and reward, or do you stay out? A lot of these drivers have found themselves part. I think this is the VSC. Yes, it's a virtual, so they've all gone past. So this is unlucky. So we're guaranteed some good racing once again as the race gets neutralized. As a good way to describe it, imagine you put yourself on all the cars on a Scalextric track and you just press the trigger. Every single one of them is going at the same speed.
Yeah, and virtual safety car. You know, if you're binning it into turn 1 or into turn 2, I mean, losing it on the, you know, just losing traction, I would say it's a safety car. No, I mean, you know, debris all over the track, or was it just a normal click the retire button? Maybe that's what happened with Herman as DRS is enabled. We're back to green flag racing, and I don't think actually Harrison will have the DRS going into turns 11. No, he won't, as they're on the white line on the exit of turns 10. You would have just seen the white line. That's the detection. That's the line for enabling that DRS. Now, 4 laps to go. It's quite close between the top 3. Also, Scott's gained substantial ground in that VSC. It can be done if you do it right, and Scott's perfected it. He's almost on the back end of the Williams for that DRS. He's dropped the Papaya McLarens. He's dropped the whole field. He's like, you know what? I can do it myself. I don't need help. I don't need DRS train. And, I mean, he's proven it. He's up to P4. He's looking, maybe. Podium could be on the cards for Scott here.
It could very much be on the table, but it's how much are you willing to risk? How much are you willing to send one down the inside to make it happen? But first, he's got to get in that DRS. He's going to use up so much ERS, and he's got to make it happen now. Yellow flag again, as we are seeing an RB of Lennart into the wall, into turn 1. We're seeing a couple of drivers now make that mistake into turn 1, but nonetheless, we stick with the front runners because we know Harris has a move prepped for turn 9, if not successful, 100% into turn 10 to make it work. Meanwhile, Gina, or Gina, whatever the Italian name is, he has been on the rear end waiting for the mistake of this Aston Martin.
Most definitely, as well as also as the Atlassian Williams closes in on the Aramco Aston Martin up ahead. I mean, Scott's going to be able to gain in those braking zones, especially turn 3. That's the massive gaining point on this track, in my opinion. Turns 3 and turns 11, as they're quite big braking zones, and you go downwards to 3rd gear, whereas in turn 1 it's only down to 5th gear, 4th gear, depending on, you know, how ballsy you're feeling. And as these top 3 are quite close, only 9 tenths separate 1st and 3rd here. Scott may actually be in, as he's at the detection zone, halfway through the chicane, he's in. He's got the DRS going on to turns 9, 10 chicane. There's a retirement into pits yet again. Only 11 people out on track as of now. And Scott's in. It's a double detection zone as well. So not only does he get DRS here, but after the chicane going into turns 11. This is absolutely huge for the Kickstabbers race, as a podium could be on the cards.
Williams looking to make a move, as you could see that Aston Martin has to go out of line to defend the inside of turn 11. Now Harrison knows, all right, I've got to either commit to a move against Nick, or I'm defending that Williams right behind me. And you said it yourself before this race, turn 11 is a beauty of a deep overtaking zone. But so is turn 3. We saw how Scott was using that to his full advantage, how he can make some moves. However, it's whether one of these top threes want to make that lunge, want to make that risk happen. The answer, well, not right now. They're going to have to wait just a little bit longer on this penultimate lap.
Most indefinitely, as well as Scott also within that DRS yet again. He did drop out, and now he's within 0.8 as we come through turn 6 chicane. And he's got the DRS, and I think we may actually see a nice little four-way battle as we head our way into the sector 2, and also going on to the final lap. It was gonna be spicy, I must say.
Well, if there's gonna be spice, you gotta make the spice now. The chili is set, it's brewing, it's boiling, it's getting ever more tasty. Nothing will happen here. A setup is all that's gonna be made just for a turn 11 attack.
Most definitely. Maybe even turn 3. You said it's yourself previous lap. It's a good overtaking deep corner. Now, it's just going to be, if you do make a move into turn 3, are you going to be, if you're on the defense, are you going to try and hold it around the inside of turn 4? That's always the risky move. But if you get it done, it's a sensation defense move. Now, is Nick maybe a little bit too far ahead for Harrison to maybe even go for a move into turns 11? As a little bit of a rear locking there, making the car spin. Guyan's going to really be able to, get on the back of this. He's also lost DRS. Nick has broken
huge.
DRS. That's absolutely massive. That little bit of a mistake through turn 3 has cost Harrison the win. In my eyes, I don't think he can win from this far back with only practically one sector to go. Oh my.
No, definitely not going to happen, but there's still an opportunity to upset on the podium. Look how close they're getting. The Williams up through the rear end of turn 10. Now there's one opportunity to lunge. If you're going to make the lunge, it's got to happen now as the Williams closes in just a little bit more, tries around the outside, looks for the switchback. It's still an opportunity to attack into turn 12. Is going to play deep through in 12. Hits the side of the Aston Martin, forces it wide, but down the inside looks to be the Kickstabber, bumping and barging as the Williams has to go off track. And that allows for the Harrison of the Aston Martin to stay in second place. Scott will find himself to just miss out from the line. A drag race that left 0.035. But up ahead, we have to give credit where credit is due. Nick Arrow leading for the majority of the race, demonstrating why he had the pace. He saved up that ERS battery. He waited for the right moment to pounce. And he is victorious today.
I mean, absolutely. Also, man in P5, Amos, he was able to, recover whatever happened in that mid stage of the race. He's got that P5. He's joining his teammate in the top 5 as well. Obviously, with Ryan, and Kevin all having penalties, Amos was able to sort of get on the back end and so kind of move up a few positions. Well, I say a few. He moved up 3. He was originally P8 as well. Scott as well. What a comeback drive. Making that mistake near the final few laps of the race, dropping all the way down to P9, and he's on the podium. I mean, let's be real. Was he going to maybe be able to win? Probably not. He was 4th man in that train. Going on to those final few laps with the mistake of Guyan as well in turn 3. All chances for anyone outside the top step, as you can see, of Nick Arrow there. I mean, what a absolutely substantial race, and what a way to kick off Season 21 here in Tier 4.
Do you want me to add a bit more spice here?
Yeah, let's hear it.
I don't think you're ready for the spice.
Oh,
but
no.
I think Harrison will get a penalty for that.
Really?
A little too aggressive at the end. He did shove that Williams off, not leaving enough racing room when there's clear room to be able to fight side by side. As somebody myself who has sat in the steward's room multiple times, he's gonna lose that battle. He is going to lose that position from my experience of racing. So I don't think Harrison will keep P2 for very long. For the Williams driver, though, he is in that 5-second region. I think a 5-second penalty will be looking that way. So there is a chance that we're seeing the Gina promoted up into that podium position. But it's yeah, that's my spice to mention that I spotted from it. So yeah.
And
just to spice things up.
I'm gonna bring us back to camera sheets. Something else to see in the game. That was one hell of a race. That final lap, you couldn't say this race is scripted because of that final lap. I mean, turn 12, going side by side, forcing someone off. I mean, just what can I say? It's cinema. It's absolute cinema, and I enjoyed it as well as being commentator. I enjoyed it as a viewing perspective as well. I mean, just it's amazing. I'm speechless, really. I am speechless.
Yeah, it definitely was an entertaining race. It definitely had every element you needed, but there's also some brilliant drives. You know, I said about how Nick Arrow really controlled this race, you know, getting the early overtakes coming in, making sure that he was that front runner. He knows very well how to control a race. He knew that Harrison was getting slightly impatient, and in doing so, using a lot of his battery early on, while Nick strategically putting the little bursts onto the straight going into turn 9. He also puts a little bit into turn 11, but realizing that turn 1 and 3, Harrison was trying to recharge from these very, very strong attacks. And that kind of creates that strategy. He knows that Sector 3, as we've mentioned, a strong ERS building point. So what do? You wait till you get to the Sector 3, you charge up the last bit of your battery until turn 13, and from turn 13 on the penultimate lap onto the final lap, it was just done and dusted. Nick found the pressure, he found the pace to go and pull ahead. So hats off to him for demonstrating how that's done. Again, we have to talk about, you know, the Williams and what was I feel Gina could have been probably a lot more in this fight. I genuinely think that there was potential here that he would have been ahead of Scott if Amos had given the position. But it also comes back to that ethical question of, do you call team orders this early in the game? Do you allow your teammate to just switch with you? And the answer to that question is hell no, right? I don't care if there's a number 1 or number 2 selected within your drivers. Screw that. Whoever is winning is my number 1, and then who is losing is my number 2.
Yeah, also, final lap turn 3. I kind of want to talk about it a little. There's a few things that could have, you know, been the problem for it. I mean, could have been coming off the brakes too early, you know, making that rear end sort of slide a little, as that's what happens when you don't trail brake smoothly enough, especially with the tyres. They were, what, 16, 17 lap old. Especially, I think it was Gina, who was a provisional P2 or something, you know, making that mistake in turn 3, getting a little bit wobbly, and that cost him the DRS. It could have been a pressure thing. Last lap, you're P2, you're looking good for a win chance, and then you mess it up by doing something in one of, well, the easiest thing in the hardest corner, in my opinion. I mean, pressure could have been not in the right brake bias. I mean, anything could have happened there, and it just so happened to the P2 man and not the leader.
It did indeed. But that is everything of a nutshell of today's race. And I tell you what, if this is what the action is going to be for the coming season, then I'm saying yes to it. 100%. It is going to be very interesting. Australia ticked off, and then come July 28th to August 1st, we're heading to the land where, let's just be honest, it is where the sun really truly feels the best. We're going to Catalonia in Spain. And I'm pumped for that. You could have some very interesting races, can have some interesting action, but also can be a very challenging track.
Yeah, I mean, I would say Spain and Australia kind of the same level. Hot, tire deg's gonna be high. Dirty air is gonna be an absolute pain, especially in that middle sector. You know, you've got the uphill chicane, really tight. And if you're but trailing someone, it's really like you go deep or you go wide, and you get that track limits as well. I mean, probably qualifying will be similar as well. A lot of invalidations. I mean, Spain, one of probably my favorite tracks in the F1 game. It's really fun. It's really fast. It's both good for hot lapping and also good for the racing. And it's going to be an absolutely sensational race. And I hope it kind of follows the same trajectory as Australia here. I mean, maybe even gets better.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all for watching. Of course, PC Tier 2 is currently running, so don't forget to hop over there, show some love to the challengers of the front runners. But as for us, it's all done here. It's all over. And thank you very much for watching. And good night.